Hi friends! In today's video I have such a fun Christmas craft to share with you. I am so excited. Every year I have a virtual Christmas party with my team, and everyone who participates or who's able to participate receives a party packet in the mail. And part of that party packet includes supplies to make a Christmas craft, and I have so much fun every year picking the craft. I'll show you what we made last year. Last year we made these adorable little clay snowman ornaments using Stampin' Up! Designer Series paper and embellishments, and we just had a lot of fun making that. This year I decided to feature the St. Nicholas bundle, and I created window boxes using our scalloped tree boxes. So there's two variations to this. So this is the one. Look at the little fireplace. Oh my goodness. And then the back of it. And then the other variation is this one, where you can see there's no window on the front. You've got the door and the steps, but when you open it, you've got the window and then your little fireplace inside. And of course, the back is the same. And when you put this on display, it stands like that. Isn't that the cutest? Oh my goodness. So everyone who gets this party packet in the mail will have the supplies to make either one of these, or just completely go to town and change it up however they want. So I am going to show you all step by step how these come together, and they're really actually quite simple, just a little bit of die cutting, but I'm telling you, just to have the Christmas music on and have something yummy to drink and just enjoy the festive season while doing this project, it's just the best. So let's get started. I have a cup of some English breakfast tea steeping. As you saw, I've put some wood on the wood stove so I can tuck in and craft and just take my time having some fun here today. The base of this project are these boxes, and these are our scalloped gift card boxes. They're actually food safe, so if you want to put some homemade treats in there, you can. There's 10 in a package. This is what you get. Okay, and these actually also hold gift cards. So how it works is you basically just fold up on all the score lines, and you're gonna pull these tabs in, fold that down, and then you just fold these down like so. Okay, I'm doing this quick because I just want you to get the gist of this and how easy they are to put together. And then it closes up. And then if you want to put a gift card in it, normally they'll stay down, but like I said, I'm rushing. So you can see the little tabs for you to put a gift card in, and then you just simply tuck it in like that, right? You can put some tissue paper in it, whatever you want. But we're going to change these up. Okay, so I'm going to show you, first of all, how to make this one. And then I will show you how I incorporated this one, this bit with the box, to create this one. Okay, this is the bundle that I used on today's project, the St. Nicholas bundle, page 11 of our current mini catalog. And it is really awesome. I'm so glad I got this because I almost didn't, but let me tell you, since I've been playing with it, I am so happy I have this in my collection. So here's the stamp set, and then there's a lot of dies. And what I actually did, which I'm going to do this more often because it's working out really good, is I put all my dies on a magnetic sheet, which I've been doing a lot with my dies, and I know a lot of you do that. But then once I had everything on here, so I knew how everything fit on here, I put it on my printer like this, and I printed it off and cut it out and glued it onto this. So now when I'm putting my dies back on, I could actually see how I had them on there, so I can make sure they all fit and make sure I'm not missing any. But look at all the dies. Oh my goodness, the stockings, the holly, the little wood for the fire. Now, I don't normally care for fussy, piddly dies. I'm just going to be upfront and honest with you, which is why at first I was not going to get this. But I'm telling you, I'm so glad I got it. I actually have had the best time making these. So the other dies that I brought in for this project, the Something Fancy dies, I used this one from that collection for the window. And then the Color and Contour dies have this scallop, which I used on the little roof shingles, which are totally optional. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut my window. And this has gotten a little bit inky from inky fingers, but what I'm going to do is I want to cut my window in this piece here, and so I need to make sure that's going to fit through my die cutting machine. So all I did is I folded these flaps down, placed this on my machine, placed my die in the center, have a little bit of washi tape just to hold that down, and then ran it through. You're going to save this because this is going to go in the back of your project. And for the second box, this one, I want to cut the window out of this piece here, which is this. So all I'm going to do is position my die in between those slot marks and just run that through my machine. I think that's all the die cutting I'm going to be doing in the video, because as I mentioned, everything is already die cut, but I will tell you some of the tricks that I did because I made a lot of packets. So these are the little packets that I sent out, and everything is pre-cut, and I'm going to show you how I cut everything in a snap. So if you're only making 1 or 2 of these, it won't take you long at all. So all I did was I pre-cut my cardstock for the bits and pieces that needed to get die cut. And I seen another demonstrator, I can't remember who it was right now, who did this with this bundle. I'm like, that's brilliant. That is so brilliant. So let me get my dies. Now I have a piece of crushed curry, and I cut my flames out of that. So this die does 2 pieces of the flames. So I actually got two out of that one little piece. And then I have the hearth. Then I did this piece here on Fairy Vanilla. This is like the chimney. Then I cut my stockings out of Real Red. And what else? My wreath. Actually, I also had a strip, as you can see here, where I cut out my holly, and there's like 3 of these. And what else? My little firewood goes on my, what color did I use? That's pecan pie. What else? What else did I cut out now? Oh, and I had a piece of white. So I have my white on here, and then this is the snow, and actually this as well. These are what I use for the top of the stockings, and cut them out all at once. So that's it. I actually used this piece too on a piece of Designer Series paper, which creates this beautiful pattern right here. So this is what I ran through. So in one swoop, you have everything you need to make one of these little scenes. Handy dandy this little cheat sheet is. I'm definitely going to be doing this more often, especially when there's a lot of little pieces like this. This is the Traditions of Saint Nick Designer Series paper that's through our online exclusives, and we have 2 Santa dies. One cuts out the Santa with the tree, one cuts out the Santa with the presents, and this Santa with the wreath needs to be fussy cut. So I went through and I cut out all the ones that coordinate with the dies. And I'll get to some of this other paper in a bit. I've used up a lot of this paper and I need to get more. It's absolutely gorgeous. And see how perfect is this background for the wallpaper, and oh my gosh, just so much fun. So here's everything that I pre-cut for this project, and I am just going to put it all into a tray because there's tiny pieces. And again, I'm not normally one who likes all these fiddly bits and pieces, but I'm telling you, this was so worth it. All right. Oh, and I also pulled in some other Designer Series paper from the Winter Wonderland. So I cut these pieces 2 3/4 by 4 and cut the same die because that's going to go on the window. And then there's some more Designer Series paper that we'll get to, same size. And then this one, as I mentioned earlier, where I put that that beautiful die. Like, look how gorgeous that is. And here's my die cut Santa. And then I also die cut it on basic black so that I can have some more support with that and some other bits and pieces. So I'm just going to go ahead and start assembling and show you how easy this is. Okay, I'm going to pull in some 12 by 12 cardstock so that you can easily see what I'm doing. Now I also have some other bits and pieces in here which I will tell you as I come to them. One is my window sheet, and this window sheet measures 2.5 by 3.5. So I'm just going to put some tear and tape. You can use glue. I also used glue on some of these. I'm just going to put that here. And we're going to have Designer Series paper cover that anyways. Okay. And we're going to put our window sheet on top of this. Now we have a window. And this would be adorable even if you were using these boxes for Christmas treats or a special gift. Having that little window in there is really fun. The next thing I'm going to do is glue on this Designer Series paper. And I'm going to use that to cover that bit right there. I want my music notes to go the right direction. Let's see, that's going to close that way. So just line that up. Next, I'm going to add my wallpaper. So this is what I'm using for the wallpaper. This is part of the Traditions of Saint Nick, again on our online exclusives. So if you have this bundle or if you're planning on getting this bundle, I really encourage you to grab some of that paper because it's pretty awesome. Time to build our little scene. So I have a little strip of wood grain paper. This measures 4 by 1/2 inch, and I'm using that for the floor. So you could use any wood grain pattern or stamp your own or emboss your own. This is from the Daisy Designer Series paper. So I'm just gonna put that on here. And now I'm bringing in my chimney. I'm going to use Stampin' Dimensionals to put that on. And we actually do have snow, so it's starting to feel Christmassy a little bit around here. But it's beautiful blue skies, -4, so a little bit chilly, but not with my cozy wood stove on. Okay, so I'm just going to put that on just like so. You can offset it as well. It doesn't have to be right in the center, but I like it in the center. Now I'm bringing in my little hearth piece. And I'm just lining the bottom up with the bottom of this and centering that. So the gray piece that was cut out of this, I'm just taking my black marker and making it black. That way I can use this piece the way I want. And I'm going to glue that in the center. So it really doesn't take long, believe it or not, to cut out the pieces, and it doesn't take long to assemble this. Look at it, fun. Now I have a piece of crumb cake, and I did run this through my embossing folder, my wood grain embossing folder, and I'm bringing in my early espresso and a blending brush, and I'm just going to go over this piece just to really pull out the design of the embossing folder, and also just to add a little bit of that rustic look. And another thing that I've done, which is optional if you're making these, is I've sponged around the edges on this box here, and I really like it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to this piece here. So I'm literally going to sponge on all of the edges. Like that. Now I have the little bit for the fire. So those are the 2 bits that you get. And again, I watched some demonstrators who were using this bundle, and they had lots of good tips. And this is one of them. Instead of having to cut a second piece in the orange, just use your pumpkin pie marker to go on that. And I'm going to glue this on. And then, to me, the easiest way, for some reason this almost looks like to me the little Batman emblem, I don't know. But it's like those 2 bits go upwards. So you'll see what I mean. I'm gonna just put a little bit of glue. You don't need a lot, just a little bit. And they line up with these top pieces. Like that. Okay. Doesn't get much cuter, huh? So that glue is gonna dry. Let's grab our logs. And it doesn't, I don't think, really matter if you put these on first and then the flames. It's all going to look stinking cute in the end. Okay. Now it's time to bring the stockings in. So that's what the stockings look like when they're die cut. And I'm taking my black marker again, and I'm just going to go right across that string. And then we have these little bits. How perfect. How perfect. And you get more than you need. There's 4 stockings, and I think you get 6 of these in that one die cut. So I found the easiest way is just to add a little tiny bit of glue along the top of each one. And I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool and I'm not worrying about if there's a reverse side or an up or a down. They're all just going on willy-nilly. And forgot to mention that those who get these in the kit, there's actually, I cut 2 pieces of these at once so that if you lost any, there'd be extra. So, and I forgot, but see, there's an extra one there. Pretty darling, huh? Pretty darling. Now another thing that I did is I took my cherry cobbler ink pad and I just added a little bit along the bottoms of the stocking. Just add a little bit of dimension. Just kind of getting the toes and the heels. And then look at the difference that that makes. Oops, can you see that? It's subtle, but you know, sometimes those little subtle things make all the difference. Okay, so to put these on, I use my little mini dimensionals, one behind each stocking. And then I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the string portion. Just need a little bit on the ends. Okay. I'm lining up those corners, and then I can just position my little stockings. Oh my goodness. I just truly did not realize how much fun I was going to have with this, but I'm telling you. And imagine this on a card. Darling, darling. All right, our scene on the inside is almost done. I took the double oval punch and I punched some fairy vanilla and I ran it through one of our embossing folders. And I'm going to actually add a little bit of that early espresso. This is going to be my frame. And then I have a little piece of linen. So let's grab that tear and tape. And just put that up across the top. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you kind of do want your little bit of linen to be center. So that's going to be the little piece that's hanging it. So let's just trim that excess off. We're going to need that a little bit later. Okay, and then this piece I just glued on. I didn't use dimensionals. Okay, I just glued it right there. Next, I'm taking in one of our embellishments and I'm putting that like so. Now what looks really cool is our holographic paper works perfectly to make a mirror. Unfortunately, I only have this little tiny piece left, so I didn't have enough to send out to everybody in their kits. So I've used this cardstock instead, this designer series paper, which has the coppery and the blue, and it's just, I mean, you just want a pretty little picture frame above the mantle. So that's what we're doing here. Time for a little bit of stamping. I'm bringing in a strip of fairy vanilla And I am going to stamp the sentiment that reads "Many Merry Thoughts and Wishes," which is part of this stamp set. And I'm going to stamp that with cherry cobbler. I'm just going to cut that out. And I'm going to cut this and glue it to my little picture frame that's hanging over the mantle. Let's put some holly on that cute little picture. So I'm just grabbing a couple of hollies. You can do this in garden green or old olive. I've done both, and I'm just going to take some garden green and just tone on tone, but just add some shading, just going around the edges, and I'm going to glue those on. Oh, and of course, because I love dimension, I'm going to pinch and squeeze. On the glue. So I want to let that set for a minute. So I'm gonna add some berries to the holly, and there is a die in this set that cuts out all kinds of, you know, the little berries. I didn't do that because I just knew they would get lost. So all I did is I took my red marker. You can use real red, cherry cobbler, sweet sorbet, and just take your blend right over your pearls and color them in, and then you've got some beautiful 3D berries. The inside done, all decorated. So I'm going to move over to this side before I fold up the edges. And I took a piece of our linen cardstock and I cut it at 1/2 inch by 4, and I'm going to put it across the top. And I really wanted to add some texture to this. Okay, and this has adhesive on it, so as you can see, I'm just peeling that off. And I'm just going to line it up at the top. Okay. Now I have a piece of our natural wavy trim, and I just love this trim. So I'm just going to put just a little bit of glue across this bottom edge, and then I will trim this up as I need to. And I'm totally fine with any little bit that's going to show through on the other side, because look, it looks like a little curtain. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm just going to trim that up. Alrighty, we're almost done. Now we're going to decorate this side. I'm going to take this piece of Designer Series paper. This measures 2 3/4 by 4. Go around the edges with my early espresso. Bringing in another stamp set. I'm using the Christmas Classics, and I'm going to take this right here, and I'm going to stamp that with garden green, and I'm also going to stamp it with old olive. So I'm going to start by stamping this with old olive, and you could either just leave this as it is, or you could put Designer Series paper around it like I did on the inside. Now I'm just taking that mat that I had and placing that over my window. And of course, you can do this before you cut your window out, but sometimes you don't know how you want to do your project until you're actually creating it, right? At least I know I come up with ideas while I'm stamping and just in the moment. Okay, isn't that pretty? Such an easy way to decorate the front. So now I'm using the same stamp, but this time with just a little bit of garden green, just to tie in this color, but also just to add some pretty festive shades. I'm just overlapping. Because this is glossy, that ink is going to need a few minutes to dry. So you could zap it with the heat tool. I've got my tabs all tucked in. For the inside, I have a strip of Designer Series paper. This is, you could use 3/4 by 12. You could get closer to 1 by 12 if you like. So this is going to go on the inside, and there's going to be a different piece along here for the carpet. So different piece of Designer Series paper. So what I found the easiest to do is I just lined it up across the top so that it's even on both sides, and then just bent down. And actually I'm gonna have it going this way because I want this piece to show. So do that, and then fold it down on these corners, and then again we're gonna have a different piece of Designer Series paper on the bottom. Okay, so now I'm gonna take, you can use tear and tape or you can use the glue. I'm gonna use the glue, and I'm just going to put a bit of glue on the insides. Use your scissors to or a ruler just to really pop those bits into the corners. Then I have another strip of different Designer Series paper, and this is 2 3/4 by 1, and that's going to be my carpet. So you see, that just goes on right like that. Okay, so we are going to close this up, and we have our beautiful little window box. All we need is our Santa Claus and just a few other embellishments to finish. So I'm going to put some glue on my black and then glue on my die cut, just like so. Now if you want, and of course I'm going to, you can use the snow die cuts on the top and the bottom. So that's what I'm going to do. And this one I'm going to put down here a little bit because I'm going to have my Santa kind of standing on it like so. Santa is going to have some dimensionals put behind him. But you want to be careful because you don't want your dimensionals to show through on that window. So I'm going to put my dimensionals just here. And actually I'm going to put a little mini dimensional behind one of his boots. Okay. And I'm just going to have him go past the edge of the box just a bit. This piece is another strip of 12 by 1 Designer Series paper. This is from the Winter Wonderland, and I'm going to use my tear and tape for that. And I'm just going to put a little bit here and right around the center. You could use your glue, and just a little bit because that's not going to go all the way across on the bottom. For this bottom piece, you can use another piece of Designer Series paper, or you can use a piece of fairy vanilla and do your to and from, or whatever you want. And I'm gonna glue this piece on. You could cut another piece that's the same color as this if you like, right? This is your creation. I'm just giving you ideas on how I'm doing this. All right, next up is the ribbon. So I'm going to take my tear and tape again and go across the center of that designer series paper we just put down. And then I'm just going to take my checkered ribbon and place it right on top of that tape. Take another little tiny bit of tear and tape just to hold that overlapping bit down. Have a red bow and some greenery that's going to go on the top. So we'll put some tear and tape down. Here's my bow. Okay. Push those up a bit. And then using my bow punch, I punched out some greenery, and for these I'm going to mist with water and crinkle and let dry for dimension. I'm not going to mist. I'm going to keep that flat because I'm going to add some embellishments to it. So this piece that we cut out of the window, I'm going to sponge it with some early espresso, and then I'm going to stamp my sentiment. I'm bringing in my holly, and I'm going to stamp that with garden green right here. And then I'm bringing in the berries, and I'm going to stamp them with cherry cobbler. So of course you could use any stamp set you want. Bring a blending pen in and pull that green into the holly leaves. This has always been one of my favorite ways to color, is just using the blender pen with the outline of the image. So again, it's a glossier finish, so I'm going to zap that with the heat tool and glue it on the back. Okay, just a little tip, if you have a little bit of glue residue on your window sheet, I just used a little bit of our Stays On cleaner. I just dabbed it on, and I'm taking a tea towel, a linen tea towel, just a regular little tea towel, and it will take that residue right off. So now I'm just putting on a little bit of holly, just to add a little extra greenery. And I'm only going to put it on the two sides, I think. And some of my pearls. Now I'm going to stamp Joy, Love, Peace. And I am going to stamp it twice because I'm going to need this for my second box, which is pretty much all put together. I'm not going to go through all the steps that I just showed you for this box, but I am going to show you how I did the front of it. So since I'm doing the one sentiment, I will get the other one ready for the next box. So I'm just going to trim it out and sponge some early espresso ink around the edges and glue it onto my box. Completed. When you open it up, it's adorable. I love this. Okay, I'm going to finish this one. I've already got all the insides done. Now let me just tell you what I did with this flap, because I think it's pretty self-explanatory. The gift card portion, I glued my window sheet and then the designer series paper around it, just like I did on this flap here. And then you want to glue the flap inside before you put this strip on, which I forgot. So I had to peel this off and try to put this in. That's why it's off kilter a little bit, but it's very simple. So just take that flap. Let me show you this flap here. Okay, you're going to put glue on both sides, and of course your window will be cut out. Glue it down inside, wrap your paper on the inside, so that's going to hide your flap. Okay, and then of course I just decorated. Then this piece that I had cut with that pretty die, I sponged around the edge, I glued that on. Now I'm going to stamp my sentiment. This is the May Your Christmas Season Fill Your Home from the St. Nicholas stamp set, and I'm just going to stamp that with my early espresso. And this is on a piece of Fairy Vanilla cardstock that measures 2 3/4 by 1 3/4, I believe. Now, actually, before I'm going to set this aside, I'm going to show you how I made my little roof shingles. These were really simple. All I did is I took a piece of basic black cardstock, measures 2 3/4 by 1 1/2, and I just used my die, my scallop die from the Couture dies, and then I scored at the 1/2 inch mark. So that's going to make a little flap that's going to be glued on like that. Okay, then I have a second one that I cut, and that's just going to get tucked underneath, so it looks like the little roof shingles. But I want to add some white ink just to make these look a little Christmassy. So I'm just using a little bit of a sponge, and I'm just literally rubbing on some white ink. I'm going to take my tear and tape, and I'm going to put a strip here. I'm going to take my Stampin' Dimensionals. I'm just going to take the mini ones. And this piece doesn't have to line up with this piece. So I'm just going to put 3 mini dimensionals on here. And those are just going to get tucked behind here. So these do line up, but I'll show you the first one I made. The scallops didn't line up, and they look great. They look fine. So that's not something that I think is so super important. I'm going to put a good crease in that. And then this simply gets just put on like that, and that's a little bit past what I want it to be, so I'm just going to trim that up just a bit. My little shingles. We'll decorate the front of that in a minute. We're just going to take this piece next and glue this on. This is going to go right below that black bit. Then I'm going to take my strip of linen and put that on right along where these two meet, and then my trim, just like I did on the previous one. Now for the front, I have a piece of designer series paper that I have sponged around the edges. That's gonna get glued on. I have one of the die cuts from the DSP that I use for the window sheets, and I'm just going to trim off the top and the bottom, and then that's going to be my door. I'm going to put it more towards the edge so I have room for my Santa. And these pieces, if you were so inclined and wanted to make some steps, all I did is I took my black marker and made them dark. Take one, glue that below here. So it's one step. And then I'm going to, for this one, I'm going to take a little strip of my Stampin' Dimensionals, just cutting on the edge. It's going to be the second step, and I'm just going to stagger it over to the left just a bit. Okay. Now we need a doorknob on there, so I'm taking another one of my embellishments. Put that on for the doorknob. Let's put a wreath on there. And from the designer series paper that's part of this tradition, St. Nick, there's different mailboxes and little letters. So I've gone ahead and cut one of those out. So I'm going to put that on with some dimensionals. And then this little letter is so adorable. I have to put that on there. Bring it in there. In fact, I'm going to trim that just a bit to make it look like it's stuck in that mailbox. See? Look at that. So cute. Put this right on the door. And there is that one completed. Now, if you wanted to, you could add some of our pearlized enamel effects on the snow like I did here. So you can really jazz it up. You can see I've got a different Santa on here. Well, aren't they cute? And you can see that the roof shingles on this one are wider than this one, so that's why I was saying earlier, like, I don't think you can really go wrong. Oh, and I forgot to put these little guys on. Let's find those. We got the berries and the greenery to put on. Will just sit on display like a triangle. Okay, and then this one, of course, will just stand straight up. So I love these. The first one that I made like this, you can see I've got the different Santa. I've added a bow, which I didn't do on this one, but I should. So I'm gonna go ahead and quickly do that. There we go. Now we have a pretty bow. These two, you can see the difference where I didn't add the little roof layer. Adorable. And the holographic paper on the inside. But again, you could use anything to decorate that. Hopefully you can see why I was so excited to share this project with you today. It's something very different for me. I haven't made one of these before, and I just love them. So I hope you are able to take some time to do some crafting over the holidays and give this a try. And if not, be sure to grab this St. Nicholas bundle and the coordinating designer series paper, so you will have it for your Christmas projects next year. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed today's Christmas project. Have a wonderful holiday season. Take care and happy stamping.
Well, I'm all for Christmas. all the happy smiles and the wishes. And I want it all, from the lights to the mistletoe. Tell me one thing, is there anything that you're missing? I will keep you warm as soon as you remove that snow. Whatever we do, we will be alright. These holiday wonders will open your mind.